Alright, hello. I'm not really sure where to even start with this. I've just got a whole bunch of random stuff, but we're going to be looking at a date coming up. It's a date that I've talked about before several times in the past. It's a date that's in the dollar bill, and we're looking at the 13th of February. And in fact, we're looking at the 13th of February in conjunction with the 8th of February, which is going to be the last Super Bowl, the last supper, that's Super Bowl day. Okay, so we're going to look at some stuff that we're going to look at some ideas around that. I don't know really what we're even doing, but what has got me started on this whole thing, as I've been meaning to do a video to show the dollar bill and the number jumps in the dollar bill, and there's kind of this little thing going on with Three-Eye Atlas, that whole thing, this big rock that's hurtling around right now supposedly, which connects back into stuff that Donald Trump was talking about earlier on in the year with like the Stargate. He was referencing the Stargate a whole bunch, okay? And if you've ever seen the film Stargate, and if you've ever seen the film The Fifth Element, you'll know in The Fifth Element there's a rock hurtling towards Earth, just as like with the Three-Eye Atlas. And the reference with those two films is the pyramid, and then the opening of the eye, let's just leave it at the opening of the eye, which is the capstone of the pyramid, so to speak, and sort of destroying the alien, the AI that is trying to destroy Earth, the AI that is coming from the heavens, okay, coming out of the metaphysical, trying to come out of the metaphysical. Okay, anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. But right now, what has got me started on this is I thought there was something interesting, and in fact, I was watching Steve Fletcher, and I think some other people have talked about this. I've seen some thumbnails with this on. But Steve Fletcher was talking about this Statue of Liberty in Brazil. Go check his video out about it. That fell off. You know, there's this how do we call it, a replica Statue of Liberty in Brazil that fell over in some high winds. Okay, 15th of December when this happened. Okay, so let me just show you something. What I want to show you is, what do I want to show you? Is I want to actually show you this is the Statue of Liberty as it's falling, right? So in Brazil. Okay, so let's just see us. Anyway, it's gonna go all the way down. Boom, right? Okay, great. If I just go back a little bit, this reminded me of as it's doing this bit where it's just coming down. Obviously, this might be on my thumbnail, one of these pictures, the Statue of Liberty. But as it's coming over like this, right? Oh, come on, back up, back up, back up. So as it's doing that little fall down there, it reminded me of this scene in Ghostbusters. Okay, you know when that happens. Okay, and the eye, the gateway, is opened here. Okay, and this is the supposed end of the world in. Notes the dunce cap as well here, like in I Pet Goat, the reference to the dunce cap. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, so that whole thing with the Statue of Liberty, kind of that arm falling down there, and the gateway opening, and we had a whole bunch. We briefly talked some stuff about Ghostbusters 2 not that long ago, okay? And so that just was still in my mind a little bit, and when I saw that Statue of Liberty, the way it went over, it just kind of reminded me of that, okay? So that happened on the 15th of December. Now, at this point in the film, Okay, in Ghostbusters 2, somebody has already predicted the end of the world at this point, and it's in Pete Venkman's show on the film. Okay, we have the damn backdrop there in this thing, but I can't remember his name now. This guy is going to talk about his prediction for the end of the world being on New Year's Eve. Okay, and this is again when this happens. This is New Year's Eve. Okay, so he's effectively got a correct prediction for the end of the world, so to speak. It doesn't quite happen, but it's about to happen. Okay, in the film. So this guy, it's a pretty funny scene as well. But then we've got Elaine as well, and she's gonna also has a date for the end of the world, and it is
Elaine,
let's see.
now you had another date in mind.
Okay, she's got another date in mind. It's going to be the wrong year, but let's listen to her date.
According to my source, the end of the world will be on February 14th in the year 2016.
Okay, so the date we're looking at is the 13th, probably into the 14th, because of course it's been Valentine's Day. So this is super interesting. This is essentially 10 years previous to our date coming up, right? So this is 10 years previous, which is interesting with the whole idea with 10 being a 0 point. Okay, so that is super duper interesting that there is a prediction for the 14th of February, and we have got loads of references to February the 14th going throughout other stuff that we've looked at in the past. Okay, but where do I want to go with this? So already this film has got some, interesting connections to the 13th coming up, right? With this little bit here with the day after, so the 13th into the 14th. So that's really interesting. Now, I'll tell you something else that's interesting, is the day that we're actually looking at, the 13th. Let's get a number jump up here. What number jumps have I got in here? I want to go, let's see. I've got all some random stuff in here. Hang on a minute. And I want to, let's see. Let's do the Friends one, right? Okay, and I'll get on to why we're looking at Friends in a minute. But this is the final episode of Friends, the date that it aired. Okay, and this is actually this is the wrong date. This is through to 2/8. I don't want to do this right this second. Actually, I want to show you. I'm wondering what have I got. I should have been a little bit more. Let's do the actual date for the film. Okay, so let's just go back to the film. Let's look at the release date for the film. Let's do it this way. So the release date for the film, June 16th, right, 1989, and let's run that through to this bloody Statue of Liberty falling over. Okay, June 16th, 1989, through to the Statue of Liberty here in Brazil falling over. And it's 13331. Okay, palindromic again. I don't know how he just seems to be all looking at a lot of palindromic numbers. Yeah, because of the idea of balance. 13 is what I'm getting from this. Okay, the number 13 is really what's sticking out to me. Now, why is that interesting? Because the date that I'm actually really interested in is the 13th of February. Now, if I can actually get a bloody number jump, I've got the 13th of February on. Let's do this one so I can just show you what day the 13th of February is. The 13th of February, forget this number jump for a second, I'll explain what it is in just a minute. But the 13th of February, this is what's important right here, okay? Why isn't this thing working? Come on. It's a Friday. It's Friday the 13th of February. It's a Friday the 13th. Yeah, Fry ends. Yeah, Friday ends. Friday ends. Yeah. So this is his Friends reference that we'll go on to in just a second. And I've got to explain a couple of things because this 13th of February is extremely tied in, really, with the Super Bowl as well, and the 8th of February, which is going to be the Super Bowl. Yeah. Now, just notice this. Again, 28. You can see this 282 down here. This is actually something we're going to get onto with 3i Atlas here in a minute. Okay, this number jump. Okay, because this is a date that shows up with 3i Atlas and again with the Fifth Element as well. But yeah, what I'm getting at first before we get onto that though is it's a Friday the 13th. Okay, this is a Friday the 13th, right? So let me show you. What do I want to show you? I don't want to do 3i Atlas quite yet. So that number jump from the film, the number 13 showing up, yeah, through to the Statue of Liberty falling. So we have those two scenes with the Statue of Liberty, kind of the arm coming over, that idea of the it almost sort of falling over in Ghostbusters as well. Okay, she leans over the top of the what is essentially the corrupted temple. Now, we've got quite a bit to do actually. We need to go back to that in just a second. But I want to show you just one more thing while I'm on the topic of Friday the 13th and Ghostbusters. Tupac Shakur, right? September the 13th is when he died, right? I will tell you right now that is a Friday the 13th. Okay, so he dies on a Friday the 13th. Just note his birthday, June 16th, 71. I believe that Ghostbusters 2 actually came out on his 18th birthday. Where the hell's it gone? Right? Yeah, June 16th, 89. June 16th, 71. So his 18th birthday, I think that is. This is interesting with a lot of the end of the world stuff, especially with the the Shaker. Okay, yeah, the Shaker, the Earthquaker. That reference, which is pretty much in almost all of the destruction sort of films to do with West Coast stuff. Okay, this idea of an earthquake and tsunami and all the rest of it. An earthquake could definitely it could be very interesting. Let's put it that way, especially with the Hoover Dam as well. Okay, so a mega quake could be possible, I guess. Anyway, let me just take you back before I forget about this. I wanted to show you. So this whole thing with this, before we even get onto the 3i Atlas stuff, I just want to reference back to Ghostbusters actually with this, and kind of back to Ghostbusters 2 as well. Anyway, let me show you where this is actually occurring. I've got an actual picture in here because it's kind of a shopping mall type place. And what did I do with the picture? Got some stuff to look at here, don't we? It's all just sort of random stuff. Bit of a chit-chatty one, this one. Yeah, replica of the statue. So this is it right here. This is the one that fell over. And actually they're shooting the shot from, I don't know what direction they're shooting the shot from, but this is, I've definitely seen this in the background in, I've got the, I think it was the thumbnail actually for this actual particular, I don't know if it's right at the start of this or not. Anyway, in the thumbnail for this, I'm pretty sure they show that. Now I've lost where I was at. Right here. They show this, okay, and this is what's going on here. This is the statue that just falls over right in the parking lot. Now I want to go through. I don't think anybody's probably talked about this, but the temple that is standing right next to this thing, and we're going to go back to the Future for the reference here in a second, because this is really important. I'm going to have to circle some stuff. So this is the clock tower. Now on here this says, you can't really read it very well, but it's HAVAN, haven, or heaven, haven, yeah, haven, haven. I don't know how you want to say that, but again, this is again the external structure of the clock tower. You could say it represents Earth, and then the metaphysical, the gateway into the clock tower is going into the metaphysical, yeah, into heaven, to the heaven, okay, to the metaphysical, okay. So again, we've got the pyramid here, the three-eye atlas, okay. This is the clock tower in Back to the Future. Don't know if you can make this out because there's some other sort of, it's difficult to see this, but the front columns here, there's actually 4 front columns, the same as the clock tower in Back to the Future. It's actually behind that lamppost there. So again, very much like the clock tower in Back to the Future, the lightning comes down, hits that, goes across the road and to the lamppost. Well, not to the lamppost and then across the road, and then Marty catches it. Now in Back to the Future, I got it up here. Where the hell is that? Right here. You'll see the lightning has just come across the road here, and the lamppost here, again like the Statue of Liberty torch right here, okay, if you see my cursor. So again, this is super duper interesting, absolutely interesting. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's picked up on that really, but that to me is the huge thing about this whole thing, is this right here. With all the stuff we've been talking about with the clock tower and Charlie Kirk, yeah, this is the church of Charles and Diana, yeah, this is the church of Diana, Charles and Diana, the clock tower. So this is blooming well interesting. Heaven, yeah, this is the Stargate, this is the pyramid, and the top of this, our good friend We Seek We Find's been doing a ton of stuff on 3-Eye Atlas, and super duper interesting stuff, yeah. This is the third eye right here. This is the gateway to the heavens above, yeah, okay. So you've got like that idea of Atlas is the separation between heaven and earth below, okay, yeah. Atlas holds up the one thing is all the stars, and then Atlas is here, you know, yeah, and he's standing on earth here, yeah, yeah. Atlas is the gateway between these two things, okay. You could say, yeah, I don't know. Again, with the Hoover Dam, the 3-eye Atlas has the 3-9 connection, which is 930. Okay, so the I becomes a 9. Yeah, in the alphabet. So 930 is one of the birthdays of the Hoover Dam, 1935. And the other birthday of the Hoover Dam is 3-1, which you could say, again, the I is a number 1. Roman numerals, yeah. 3-1-36 is the other date for the Hoover Dam. So this is super duper interesting, the connection to the Hoover Dam, and this gateway, the man on wire, the bridge between the two sides of reality. Yeah, super duper interesting. And again, if you get stuck in one side of reality, then that gateway can get dammed up, can get blocked, and needs to be reopened, so to speak, to allow balance to flow again, I guess is what you'd say. Okay. Right, let's move on to some 3i Atlas stuff now with this. Okay, and that is interesting again with the 13, yeah? 3, 1, 13, 3i Atlas, yeah? So again, it's super duper interesting. Now, what I'll say is, you know, when they discovered 3i Atlas, the 1st of July, Diana, the Temple of Diana here, Diana's birthday. I think it was would have been her 54th birthday, maybe. Not sure off the top of my head, but if she was still alive. But again, the 3i Atlas, yeah, the fifth element. This again in Back to the Future, we've got the lightning strike coming down. In the fifth element, we've got this beam coming up that shoots up and hits this object that then turns into a moon. Yeah, and this hot rock that's on fire, yeah, like the hell rock hurtling towards Earth that's on fire, is quenched, so to speak, and returned back to a state of balance, back to a moon, back to a pure moon. Interesting. And again, in Stargate, the same thing happens. The alien takes off in his version of the pyramid, and the beam shoots up. Well, actually, they beam me up, Scotty, a bomb, and that blows up the AI, the alien intelligence that has just took off from the below pyramid. Very similar symbolism indeed. Okay, what else I got here? Let's go through some of this stuff now. So we got the Friday the 13th stuff, sort of. We've got that going. We've got the Friends reference. I mean, I just showed you the Fry ends, and this is actually to do with 3i Atlas here. This number. This is their pre. What did they call it? It's in Wikipedia. It's like the pre. Let me show you it. Well, have I got it up here? It's this number right here. Pre-covery. They've gone back and looked through some pictures, supposedly, if this thing even exists. They've looked through some pictures, and now they can figure out that it was there back to the 7th of May, I guess. I don't know. So it, if they'd actually known about it, they could have discovered it earlier, but after its discovery, they can go back and look at other pictures, and this is the, as far back as they've gone. 55 days, interestingly, before 7th of May 2025, and that's what we were just looking at. 7th of May 2025 through to Friday the 13th 282. Yeah. Again, if I go back to this, if I just remind people about this, right, this decode chart of mine, if I just remind people, Lucas numbers, right, all to do with like Pluto. So this is heavily referenced with the United States, because we've just supposedly completed the Pluto return with the United States age. What else? All these numbers in here relate back to sort of Pluto numbers. Okay, without spending ages explaining it. But this is Lucas numbers, okay? And what you'll note is that this number that we're looking at, which is 213, is the start of Lucas numbers. Now, if we convert this sequence into individual numbers, so if we reduce all these double numbers, triple numbers, and however big the numbers go, down into single digit, we reduce them back down to single digit numbers, right? So like 18 here would become a 9, 11 would become a 2, okay? So forth and so on all the way along, right? When we reduce all these down, 24 digits, once we've gone 24 digits along, it just repeats. it's another 20, and then the same 24 digits repeat. The same 24 digits repeat. So it's a cycle, a 24 digit cycle. All of these, even Fibonacci as well, is a 24 digit cycle, and this sequence here, which I call the pi sequence, or whatever, you know, because it starts with 314, that is also a 24 digit cycle. And these are the only 3 cycles there are like this. Okay, there's only 3 cycles, all 24 digits long. Okay, different 24 digits each time, but the end of the 24 digit cycle for Lucas numbers is 8. So 8 2, 8 marks the end, 2 marks the beginning. 28 2 8, this is when Super Bowl will be this year. 8228, okay, however you want to write the date. And then 213 is going to follow along fairly shortly, 5 days, okay. Very similar in idea to 9/11. Technically speaking, the 0 shouldn't really be here. It's just the way mathematicians do it. But that, in the actual cycle version of Fibonacci, would be a 9. Okay? So now you can understand that 9/11 is all to do with Fibonacci numbers. Okay? The Fibonacci cycle. So 8, 2, and 213, if we were looking at something that was going to be the next 9/11, this is very interesting indeed. Okay. Anyway, where am I going to go with this? Let's get rid of that junk for a minute. But I want to remind people about that, because I think, you know, this is why, you know, the Super Bowl, it's just so interesting with the end and the beginning. You know, could be 5 days of complete chaos maybe between those 2 dates. I would still peg the Hoover Dam on the 13th. What would I peg on the 8th? I don't know. Maybe some kind of earthquake on the 8th. Just note something here. When we're looking at this table, look, we're dealing with the 2-8. Just look at the 8 column. Let's look at the 8 column and look what the total is for the 8 column. 222. So the 8 column is pretty interesting with the number 2 and the number 8. And what are we dealing with? Super Bowl 60 this year. So we're going to come on to some ideas here with this. Obviously the 47's super duper important at the minute. And in fact, if you follow, we'll go on to it in a second, but if you follow precious metals, I keep my eye on them. It's a good idea to have some stashed, you know, just in case. And it's a good way to protect against ever-increasing rapid inflation, or devaluation, should I say, really is what it really is. They like, you know, devaluation of the dollar. So anyway, number 47, silver. Okay. Interestingly, right now, just the other day, silver hit $60 an ounce. By no coincidence, I'm sure. And I think right now it's at 66 something. Might be at 666. 66 and 60 something cents. So super duper interesting with silver right now. I'm gonna show you something as well in here, which might be very interesting. We might want to look at 47 days before this date for something to happen as well. So I'm going to show you a little connection. That's a little idea to do with silver in just a minute. Okay. Anyway, sorry this is random and all over the place. Obviously 47, you can see the birth of the United States. Yeah. 47, 47, yeah, 1776, 17, yeah. 3i Atlas found on that day. So before we get on to that though, let me just draw in the clock tower in here. If you've seen my decodes before, you know that you sometimes draw the clock tower in, okay, and then you can go around that number 14 there, which gives you your 10:04 for the clock tower, okay, that's on the clock. And then we've got some pillars, okay, and then a gate, and then the doorway here, you know, the metaphysical doorway, 20 and 55, very interesting. And of course, we stylize the 55 here as for the lightning, and it comes down, hits the top of the clock tower, goes through along the line, look at, hits 911 right here, it goes over to the lamppost over here somewhere or whatever, and this zero, like I said, ground zero should actually be a 9. Yeah, that's the Western Auto sign. Your 11 here is the fire trails of the DeLorean, and we've got references to pi. You know, all these numbers are over here, right? Super duper interesting numbers, right? As that lightning goes across over to the other side of the road over here, okay? Anyway, what I want to do is I want to explain something between 9/11, between this date, 9/11, between 9/11 and 2/13, there's a certain number jump, and it's referenced actually with the lightning strike here. So, well, what it is on the dollar bill, and it's actually 155, which is what we've got right here. These numbers, I guess you have to get rid of one of them ones there, just use one of the ones out of the 11, but it's 155 days between these two dates, between this date and this date. So this is very interesting that the lightning that's going, you know, that's getting Marty home, so to speak, will also take you from 9/11 to 2/13. Let me show you, it's in the dollar bill. Let's go back to this. Let's find a picture of the dollar bill. I've got it up here. Let's draw on it, because you've got to count, okay? So we're going to count leaves and berries on the dollar bill. So on this side of the dollar bill, we have, I'll just do a thing over them, the bunny ears, follow the white rabbit, 2 there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we have 2 leaves, 5 leaves, and 1, 2, 3, 4 berries. So it's 254, okay, on this side of the dollar bill. The 254th day of the year is 9/11, okay. Now let's count we want to jump over to the other side. We're going to do a bunny hop to the other white rabbit ears, the bunny ears. Let's count up. We've got 1 berry here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves. We've got 155 there. If we go 155 days from the 254th day of the year, it will bring us out on 2, 1, 3. Okay, it will bring us out on 2/13. There it is in the dollar bill. Okay, it's a 155-day jump across, across the line, the lightning going across the line from 9/11 to 2/13. Okay, just fascinating stuff that it's in here as well. Yeah, it's 155. Lightning comes across from 9/11, and where are we going to end up over here? 9/11 is going to be referenced again. Well, it's 2/13. If we know our stuff, it's 2/13. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, what else we got here, Dan? Come on, this is just all over the place, mate. What in the hell, dude? Right, so yeah, so we did the Ghostbusters, the 13 reference, the 3-1, 3-Eye Atlas. Okay. Diana's birthday, this thing's found on, yeah? So we just did that other date that they happened to notice in the photographs, and it's referencing 282. Okay, so again with the last Supper Bowl, Friday ends. Okay, the last one. This is actually um, season 10. That's nice, isn't it? Episodes 17 and 18. Why is that so important that it's episodes 17 and 18? Why? Let's get rid of some of this crud so we can see 17. You can pull those numbers there with the 1-7. Yeah, finding 3 IATs, the 18. It's right here at the top of this thing. This is our main balance point, actually, right here. Okay, where that messes, I'm just doing between the numbers 11 and 18. Mickey Mouse's birthday right there. Okay, yeah, Michael J. Fox, Mickey Mouse. Right, what else we got? This is super duper interesting. Note, yeah, part 1 and part 2. We got the 122 and the 222. Okay, yeah, remember our 8 column, our totals down here, 222. Yeah, Washington's birthday, yeah, who's on the dollar bill, 22nd of February, yeah, okay, the year the Queen dies, yeah, all the 2s, right? What else we got? Come on. Interestingly, when they do their they re-reference these numbers with their end of show parties and everything. Yeah, I'm not going to go down and show you, but if you go through this crud here, it's re-referenced down there, and the actual date that they show is May the 6th, a super loaded date. Things like, wasn't the Hindenburg on that date? We've been looking at the Channel Tunnel. It's got that date. So it's a super loaded date. May the 6th. Do I have a number jump for it? May the 6th, 2004. So this is the last episode show of Friends, and I went through to the 2-8. Okay, the Super Bowl, the Last Supper. Because that's when Jesus is with all his friends. Okay. Okay, let's click this one and have a look. Clock tower. There's our clock tower number, 1004. The 1004 prime. Crazy, isn't it? So, what else we got? What else have we got here? We've done 2-pack. Okay. This is interesting. This is the song from the Rembrandts. Yeah, I'll be there for you. Okay. Note that the 1122 reference again with this, and obviously you can click on, and we're right in the ballpark for all these dates through here. I'd actually say from the 7th through to like the 16th is all really interesting. But anyway, again with that, with Friends, the last one, yeah, the 122 showing up again. We got tons of stuff with Madonna with 122 numerology, loads of stuff. Okay, just interesting, just all interesting. What's this one? Look at this. This is the 3i Atlas discovery date through to 2-8. 222 again, yeah? Through to 2-8, 222. When we're looking at our table now, it starts making a lot of sense, doesn't it? The 2-8 reference and the 222 reference. Kind of fascinating. What else we got? It's super important that with Diana, and in fact Diana will be something like it's like 20. In fact, we could put it in, couldn't we? Let's put her birthday in, and I'll show you what it is. That's the dog making that noise. Look, that's the 10th there. Look at this. Look at this date. So, in fact, actually, what's interesting is that because the 2-9, I probably forgot to mention this now, but you know what we've been talking about recently is 2-9, and that's the wedding date. Yeah, and look what this is, 2-3-6. Again, this is interesting with Madonna, you know, even because Madonna's Who's That Girl was released on the 23rd of June, 2-3-6. Again, I say, you know, I got a personal reference from my grandfather's birthdays that day, and there's just this random connection with Madonna, you know, and the DeLorean and all the rest of it, and the show, you know, the showground and all the rest of it, you know, the show. What was this? This is the Statue of Liberty falling over through to 2/13/60. Yeah, Super Bowl 60. Yeah, 60 showing up again with the Statue of Liberty. So what's it doing? It's kind of giving us a reference back to 2/8 maybe. It's just, you know, it's kind of a bit round in circles, but it kind of like re-referencing each other, these numbers. Okay, I wanted to show you this because when I started looking at this, I was like, you know what? This would be interesting to figure out what is 47 days before 2/13, right? Why? Because, you know, in Lucas numbers here, 47 is in our 2/8 reference, yeah? So it would be interesting to see what 47 days was before 2/13 or before 2/13, you know, or in relationship to, you know, and how maybe that number with the number 47 maybe ties into 2/8. So if that makes sense, how those numbers all tie together. So I did 47 days before 2/13 is 1228. So we've got the 2/8, the 28th reference, and it would be interesting if something happened on this day. And with the 47, it made me think, and the way silver's going at the minute, I'm kind of wondering, because if you do buy silver and gold, you kind of watch what's going on, and with those two things right now, the reason why the price is so high is because of made up fictional you know, silver. Okay, so because people are selling paper silver that doesn't really exist, it's, you know, the price is high, right? So at some point you would think there might be a little check in the market, a little you know, because silver just keeps going up and up and up at the minute. So you might think that at some point we might have a pullback on silver prices. And I was just thinking, it would be interesting if they did something, because the atomic number of silver, of course, is 47. So this relates to silver. It would be interesting if you had some kind of pullback with silver, or maybe might be a price explosion. Who knows? Either way, some kind of reference with silver on the 28th of December coming up now. And it kind of reminded me of a film that we've talked about before as well, which is Silver Streak. Okay, and this train here, I don't know if you can make this out, but at the end of this film, this train crashes through the station. Okay, and it has the number 4747 on it, and of course Silver Streak, and this is the train wreck or the crash of silver here. I just was like, well, I'll just have a look quick. Anyway, it does have the 1, 2, 8 numerology with this. Okay, so this was just a thought with the way silver prices are going, and of course, if everything's going to go to hell and the dollar bill is going to cease to exist, it would be interesting to see some kind of check in the market to do with these I don't even know what they are, financiers that are creating an awful lot of paper silver that doesn't exist, and pushing up the price of silver. At some point that has to be checked. Maybe this could be a checkpoint right here. Okay, 1228. Maybe checkpoint Charlie. I don't know. It could be. There could be an interesting, or like I said, prices might go astronomical on that day. But it would have to be. I'm just tying in with this film here, the Silver Streak, the Silver Crash. Okay, so that could be fairly interesting for sure for a reference coming up to 213. Just a little fun. I like to imagine stuff. What else do I have in here? Kind of running out of stuff now. What was this date? Oh, okay. So I want to show you something. Let's go back to the Future, because of course we're talking about Super Bowl, and just an idea on Super Bowl is that at the start of Back to the Future we see a clock right here that ties in with an 88. Okay, actually, just play just a second of this. Actually, I only go back. Actually, let's go backwards. See if it will back up. Because this clock here, with the Broncos on it, okay, so a football reference, and again the Broncos are on the dollar bill. I'll show you just a second. So this Broncos reference, there, if you see this clock down here, there's our 88 reference. Now, I showed you this before, but from the night of the thunderstorm, well, I'll just write it, from the night of the thunderstorm, which is November the 12th, through to 213, okay, it is 88 days, okay. So again, I know this clock here does not have, that clock does not have the reference to 1004 on it, yeah, but it is interesting. I don't know if there's any other clocks here that are alarm clocks. Marty has that alarm clock when he's got set off. But this connects in with this 88 right here. Okay. So the other clock that connects in with the 88. So we've got the Broncos here. The other clock that connects in with the 88 and connects us to this sort of time period with the 213 and 28 for Super Bowl is, where the hell is it? I had it in here. Here it is. Is this clock. Okay. So this is the night of the thunderstorm, and so with this clock here, our obvious pick for Super Bowl contendees could be the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, the Panthers right here. Now I was like, okay, well I'll just have a quick look at them, see if there's anything interesting with the Carolina Panthers, you know. And that was it. October the 26th. This is when, okay, it's 93, but this is the date that Einstein does the time travel, that Marty time travels. You know, this is the sort of main date, okay, of Back to the Future, when that first time travel takes place early in the morning, right? So this is fascinating stuff as well. Because obviously the Panthers on the clock tower tie back into this date, because this is, you know, when the lightning strikes, Marty goes back to this date right here. Let's just run out. So here's our 10/26/93, which is Carolina Panthers. This is kind of fascinating because look, we're on 213 here. Click a day. We've got our 118. Yeah, this is super huge with, again, the center of here. 118 is a combination number to do with 1118. Super fascinating. So that I thought was definitely interesting for the idea of the Carolina Panthers. And it's a possibility. Right now you could have the Panthers versus the Broncos. Let me just show you something else as well with the dollar bill. Obviously, I've shown you this before, but this down here if you look at this sort of wave that's going on right here, this is kind of like the mane of the Broncos, okay? And we've talked about this with, like, it's difficult to explain this, but we've talked about this here, this number here with the Broncos and the Colts, and we've talked about the Manning brothers. And when this side and this side of the dollar bill connect together, if you've seen some of my other decodes, we end up with, let me, I keep trying to press the wrong button here. You know, this 0, so to speak, and this 0 come together and meet up. What it actually forms, if I just draw it here, is this. There's a number 8 with a 1, 1 in the middle. Okay? And of course you get back to Peyton Manning with his always wearing the 18 shirt, yeah? And then the Colts reference and the Broncos reference, okay? And we've just had some interesting stuff with the Colts as well, with Philip Rivers. So again, this 118 is in the dollar bill here, and again, you know, this is a Broncos reference right here with this horse mane. You can call that the horse mane. It's a wave. I don't know if you've ever, I don't know what picture that is, but they, when you see those waves coming over in the picture, it's made into, the wave is the horse mane, yeah, and the C is the mare, the horse is the C, yeah, if you get that reference. Anyway, don't really get the Panthers over here. This is more like the horseshoe, okay, but the 118 is interesting there with this whole thing with the Panthers, so that is fairly interesting. And, you know, of course, this could be a C as well, like with Chicago. So there's several different routes you could go with thinking about connections there. Okay. But yeah, that is, I mean, that is interesting, isn't it? With that number jump from the founding of the Carolina Panthers through to 214. Yeah. Very interesting indeed. And we're looking at 213 probably through to 214, probably for the Hoover Dam. I don't know. Did I have anything interesting with this dude? No, I think I was gonna. Number 9. He's the quarterback. Bryce Young. Oh yeah, I did have something interesting. Let's do his number jump. Look at this. So from his birthday through to 213. Now, bloody 24 years, 204 days. It's a 24-24. Yeah, the completion of the cycle 24. Remember we had all the stuff with Kiefer Sutherland. I just did all that stuff with Lost Boys. Absolutely crazy. Santa. I've got to get it right way around. Santa Carla, anagramming for Santa Clara. Yeah, and Santa Clara, the end of the line in Back to the Future. If you've seen Decoding with Cody's decode on that. I don't know. Vision Quest, that film with Madonna. Madonna does a quick little sing-song in that. And that film with Matthew Modine, we've just talked about him in Full Metal Jacket. You know, that was loaded in Full Metal Jacket with the Charlie Kirk stuff and the Hoover Dam stuff in that. Oh, I don't know. And of course the I don't know, the team that he's up against that he's got to beat is the Hoover High School team. Okay, or the guy from Hoover High School in a wrestling contest. And there was something other interesting in that. Her name was Carla in that, and she's on her way to, I think, San Francisco as well, or somewhere right there. So very interesting, you know, with all these films. I mean, just absolutely crazy. What else have I got to show you? The back. Don't forget the back of the dollar bill. We had these teams last year in the Super Bowl: the Chiefs, the Arrowhead, and the Eagles. And this is the 3-eye atlas. Yeah, the 3rd eye atlas. We seek, we find. Go check his channel out. I don't know what else to say. That's pretty much it. Just a lot of this is the interesting thing. This is really interesting. I've mentioned this. I think we mentioned this a few times now, but the birth of the country through to Christmas this year is the palindromic 911. Okay, it's 91119 days. This is well interesting. You know, especially when you think about the idea of 9/11 being the birth of Christ into the Matrix. So this would be a balance point with that. Christ's birthday here, Christmas. Super duper interesting. And what's my last thing? Oh, Christmas through to 213. It's 50 days. So that's super duper interesting with the bullseye. Remember, Odysseus has got to shoot the arrow straight through the bullseye, so to speak, through the eye of the axe head, through the eye. Okay, through the center point. Yeah. Again, the heart is the center point. February the 14th, the arrow through the heart. Okay, falling in love again, February 14th. The white wedding, we got 2/9, and then February the 14th, falling in love all over again. Oh dear, oh dear. And if you really want to get crazy, 5/1 is right here as well, 51 days. May Day, 5/1. So I think that's it. Just a lot of kind of tying lots of loose ends together. There's a couple of little nice number jumps there for the Panthers, and that would be an interesting little story, wouldn't it, to do with the clock tower. And you remember the whole thing really is about this clock tower. You know, on one side of that clock tower is like the reference to the, where's that bloody picture? Oh, the Fifth Element. What did I have? Oh, just note as well on the film The Fifth Element, right, with this big rock that's hurtling towards Earth. Okay, just note that the release date, 7th of May 97, is tying in with that 3-eye atlas number as well. This earliest recovery date, 7th of May. Crazy, isn't it? What else did I have up here? Copper. And don't forget also, this is another interesting thing with Back to the Future. Don't forget they got rid of the excuse me, they got rid of the penny on the night of the thunderstorm, on the 12th of November, the same night as the night of the thunderstorm. The penny went. Now, the first time traveler was Einstein, okay, the dog. If you go back to 1955, the precursor to Einstein is Copernicus. I'm pretty sure it's Copernicus. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Well, I thought it was Copernicus. So you have that copper reference with the dog in 1955, and this copper reference to getting rid of the penny on the night of the thunderstorm. And again, returning home, shooting through the eye of the shooting the arrow. It doesn't go on Wikipedia very good, but shooting the arrow through the eye of the axe head, okay, through the eye, okay, is what Odysseus has to do to prove himself to who? To Penelope, to Penny. So this is, again, that's well interesting as well. I don't know what else to say. Right, I think that's the end of the video. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think we've done everything. It's kind of a bit wiffly waffly all over the place, but you get the idea. Statue of Liberty, 60 days. Super Bowl 60 coming up. Fascinating stuff. I wonder, here's another bit of a guess, right? I wonder, seeing as we're already at 6666 with silver right now. I wonder, could it get to 86 and crash on the 28th? Maybe that would be interesting with the silver reference. I don't know. We'll wait and see. And we've got the 128 numerology at the top of this thing as well, which is again super fascinating. I wonder if it hit 60. I maybe should have checked that. Maybe it hit 60 on the 8th. I don't know. Anyway, enough ideas. Let's call that the end of the video. That's probably really blooming long. Will we see? And again, one other thing is the Carolina, again with the carol, the carousel, the Broncos on the carousel, yeah, going around in a circle, and the Carolina, okay, the Carolingians, I don't know, the Charles reference. It is a possibility, isn't it? The Charles reference here with these guys. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on another one soon. Alright, cheers. Alright, bye.